You have been chasing the wrong thing. Admit it. Most of your life you have stared at results and ignored causes. You have envied the man with wealth, the man with influence, the man whose name is spoken with respect, and you have whispered to yourself, "When will success find me?" That question reveals the entire mistake. Success does not find the man who stands still, wishing. It follows the man who commits himself to contribution with the same certainty that a shadow follows a body in the light. Your problem has never been lack of desire for success. Your problem has been a faulty center of gravity. You have placed yourself instead of service at the center of your thoughts. Look back over your frustrated years, and you will see the same pattern. You entered positions asking, "How soon will I be promoted?" instead of, "How much value can I bring?" You looked at every task as a ladder rung for your advancement, rather than as an opportunity to make something or someone stronger. You wore your duties like uncomfortable garments and longed to shed them for a more elegant robe called success. You were not a builder, you were a spectator, waiting for the score to shift in your favor. When it did not, you called life unfair. I say to you now, stop accusing life before you have examined your own philosophy. The world owes no man prosperity. It owes him only the opportunity to earn it. And the only honest currency accepted by this world in the long run is contribution. Not noise, not titles, not promises, contribution. That means the measurable difference your presence makes in the lives, work, and welfare of others. You are not paid in any meaningful way for the hours you merely endure. You are paid sooner or later for the problems you solve, the burdens you lift, the order you bring, the ideas you supply, and the steadiness you provide. Consider the men you secretly admire. Strip away their possessions and ask yourself why your respect remains. It is not because they have much, it is because they have become much. They carry an air of usefulness. They enter a room and you sense, without words, that they can be relied upon. They bring clarity where others bring confusion. They carry decisions on their shoulders without drama. They know things that matter and do things that count. In short, their lives radiate contribution. Their success did not produce that quality. That quality produced their success. You have been trying to reverse that order. You have told yourself, once I am successful, I will be more generous. Once I am promoted, I will take more responsibility. Once I am wealthy, I will care more about others. That is like a farmer saying, once the harvest appears, I will plant seeds. Life does not respect that logic. It deals without emotion in cause and effect. Seeds first, harvest later. Contribution first, success later. Always, without exception. If this bothers you, good. The truth is meant to disturb the man who has lived too long on illusions. You have been hunting success as if it were a shy animal. You have run after it from scheme to scheme, from hope to hope, from complaint to complaint. It has always stayed just out of reach. Why? Because success is not prey. It is a result. It appears where certain conditions exist and refuses to appear where they do not. The chief of those conditions is what you consistently give, not what you continually demand. So let us turn the mirror toward you in a different way. Instead of asking, why have I not yet been discovered? Ask, what exactly would someone be discovering? If a powerful man with resources and influence examined your daily work, your habits, your thought life, where would he see clear evidence that bringing you into a larger field would increase the value of his enterprises? Would he find reliability, thoroughness, creativity, courage, a spirit that strengthens others? Or would he see a man who performs just enough to avoid reprimand, complains in private, and watches the clock more closely than he watches the needs around him? Be honest. Success has not been ignoring a treasure. It has been bypassing a man who has not yet become a treasure. This is not an insult. It is an invitation. You are not condemned to remain this way. The fact that you can see your present condition means you can change it. But no change will last unless it begins at the level of purpose. You must adopt a new ruling idea, clear and sharp. From this day, my life will be centered on contribution. I will measure myself not by what I own, but by what I am able to give in skill, in character, and in service. I will become so valuable that success cannot help but find me. Write those words if you must. Say them aloud until they sting less and strengthen more. This is not a poetic sentiment. It is a contract you sign with yourself. Once it is signed, you will feel a shift. You will no longer enter your day as a beggar seeking charity from fate. You will step into it as a craftsman, carrying tools, ready to shape something. Your tools may be simple at first, a willing mind, 2 hands, a half-formed skill, but if you use them deliberately, they will grow sharper and more numerous. To live by contribution, you must first understand what you truly have to give. You may complain, I have very little, but look closer. You have the capacity to pay attention. You have the ability to keep your word. You have the power to think about the needs of others. You have the choice to do a task thoroughly instead of carelessly. You possess the potential to learn nearly anything your mind is set upon. These are not small gifts. Men have built empires with less. The question is not, do you have enough to begin? The question is, will you begin with what you have? Start with your present work, however insignificant you believe it to be. It is not insignificant, it is your training ground. Ask, what is the real purpose of what I do? If you maintain records, you are not merely filling pages. You are providing the clarity that prevents loss and confusion. If you handle goods, you are not just moving objects. You are safeguarding the flow of value from producer to consumer. If you serve customers, you are not just answering questions. You are protecting the reputation and trust that hold the whole enterprise together. When you see the true purpose, your work changes color. It stops being a burden and becomes an instrument through which you can contribute more consciously. Once the purpose is clear, raise your personal standard. Do not wait for orders to improve. Decide that in your sphere, anything you touch will show evidence of your pride in workmanship. That might mean arriving early to prepare instead of stumbling in at the last moment. It might mean reviewing your output one more time for errors. It might mean anticipating what others will need tomorrow and laying the groundwork today. This is how you quietly distinguish yourself from the crowd. They do what is required. You do what is required, plus a little more. You will be tempted to say, why should I give more when I am not yet paid more? Because you are not working only for your present wage. You are working for the man you are becoming. That man is your true employer. Every time you choose excellence over laziness, you are depositing into his account. Every time you stretch your ability instead of clinging to what you already know, you are adding interest to his future. Your current situation is just one payer among many. Life itself is the real accountant, and it never loses track of value rendered. Make this practical. Choose one task you perform daily and transform the way you approach it. If you are responsible for a report, aim to make it so clear and accurate that anyone reading it feels secure in acting upon it. If you greet people as part of your duties, make your greeting sincere, steady, and consistent, regardless of mood. If you maintain equipment, treat each repair as if someone's livelihood depends on your thoroughness, because it does, even if you cannot see it. When you bring this spirit to a single task and sustain it, You will feel a new respect for yourself. You will say silently, I have done this well. This bears my mark. That feeling is the seed of the success you want. You must also learn to see beyond the walls of your own needs. A man consumed with himself is like a house with all shutters closed. Light cannot enter, and nothing can be seen from outside. Open those shutters. Practice each day the habit of asking, whose burden can I lighten in some small way today? Perhaps it is a colleague overwhelmed with a detail you understand easily. Perhaps it is a superior struggling with information that you could organize more clearly. Perhaps it is a junior worker bewildered by a process you take for granted. Do not say, that is not my concern. Make it your concern, when you can, without neglecting your own duty. This does not mean you become a servant to every whim around you. Contribution is not mindless compliance, it is intelligent service. You choose where your effort will truly help. You do not waste your energy on tasks that exist only to soothe someone's laziness or vanity. You direct it where real value is created. Learning this distinction is part of your growth. Ask always, if I do this, will something genuinely work better, run smoother, stand stronger? If yes, give your effort freely. If no, move your attention back to where it counts. Your attitude will either multiply or cancel your contribution. A bitter spirit can spoil excellent work. A resentful tone can turn even a helpful act into a burden for those who receive it. You must decide that regardless of your feelings on a given day, your manner will support your work, not fight against it. That means speaking without sarcasm when clarity is needed, listening without impatience when understanding is required, and refusing to infect the atmosphere with constant complaints. You have done enough of that in the past. See what it has produced. Tension, distrust, and stagnation. Now try another way. You may say, but there are injustices here. There are inefficiencies, foolish decisions, unfair practices. Of course there are. This is the case in every human organization. You are not asked to close your eyes to them. You are asked to choose your response. You can spend your energy in endless criticism, producing nothing, or you can say, within my reach, I will create a pocket of order and integrity. I will make my section an example of what is possible. Often that silent example speaks louder than 1,000 irritated words. Those above you may ignore it for a time, but those around you will feel it at once. Contribution does not mean you must remain forever in a bad environment. If you have done your part, improved what you can, maintained your standards, and still find that the air you breathe is poisoned by corruption or contempt for growth, then it may be right to leave. But leave as a man who has proven himself valuable, not as a man escaping responsibility. Carry your developed habits into a better setting. Do not let a poor environment become your excuse for becoming a poor worker. One more thing. Contribution is not limited to your occupation. It is the way you inhabit every role. As a member of a household, are you adding warmth, order, stability, and encouragement? Or are you merely eating, sleeping, and complaining? As a friend, are you a source of counsel, loyalty, and honest feedback, or are you only present when you need something? As a member of your wider community, do you look for ways to improve, repair, or support? Or do you watch from the sidelines, muttering about how others have failed? Your answer to these questions reveals whether this law has entered your bones or remains merely in your ears. You may feel an objection rise. If I live like this, will I not be used? Will I not be exhausted? The answer is simple. You are not called to be foolish. You are called to be fruitful. There is a difference. A fruitful tree draws from deep roots. It does not pour out from a hollow trunk. In the same way, you must take care of your health, Guard your quiet hours and keep company with thoughts and people that replenish you. That too is part of your contribution, because a burned out man is of little use to anyone. But do not confuse thoughtful self-maintenance with the selfishness that has ruled you until now. The former keeps you strong to give. The latter keeps you weak while pretending to protect you. Let this part of your journey end with a sober realization. Your life, as it stands now, is the sum of the contributions you have made and the contributions you have withheld. You cannot change what lies behind, but you can completely change what lies ahead. From this moment, you may decide that your name will become associated not with complaint, not with excuses, not with empty ambition, but with value. When people speak of you, they will say, "He made things work. He made us better. He left more than he took." That transformation does not depend on permission from any man. It does not require a new title, a new office, or a new start in some distant place. It begins where you are, with what you have, under the conditions now present. Success has been stubborn because you have been facing the wrong direction. Turn now. Face the world not as a beggar waiting to be chosen, but as a contributor choosing to be useful. Put your hand to the work in front of you with that spirit, and you will feel, even before outward results change, that you have stepped onto different ground. The air is clearer here. The path is harder, but it is solid. And along this path, success does not need to be hunted. It comes in its time to meet the man who walks steadily toward contribution. You have accepted the idea in your mind. Now it must enter your hands, your feet, your tongue, your habits. Philosophy without practice is a luxury for idle men. You are not an idle man. You cannot afford to be. So we will turn this law, focus on contribution, and let success find you naturally, into specific disciplines you can use from the moment you rise to the moment you sleep. Begin with the first hour of your day. That hour decides who you will be for the rest of the day. Until now, you have often risen reluctantly, thinking of what the day will take from you, your strength, your patience, your time. You have imagined yourself as a victim of duties. That attitude, carried into your work, has poisoned your contribution before you even arrived. You must reverse it. When you open your eyes, your first conscious thought should be, "I will bring value today." Say it aloud, not as a wish, but as an order to yourself. I will bring value today in whatever I touch, with whoever I meet, in whatever I am trusted to do. Sit quietly for a few moments and examine the coming day. Ask, where will my presence be most needed? Where can I improve something? Who may require my patience, my clarity, my strength? Do not rush this. You are not daydreaming. You are assigning your mind to contribution. The man who begins his day this way does not stumble into it. He steps into it on purpose. Next, decide how you will handle the smallest duties. It is in the lightest task that your true belief about contribution is revealed. Any man can be serious when others are watching, when the work is large, when the reward is obvious. The contributor distinguishes himself in the places where no one will know, and it doesn't really matter. You must make a private law that everything bearing your name will bear your care. If you write, your writing will be clear. If you clean, it will be thorough. If you assemble, it will be exact. If you explain, it will be patient. Not sometimes. Always, as far as your present knowledge allows. This does not mean you become obsessed with perfection to the point of paralysis. It means you refuse carelessness. You will still make mistakes. The measure is not whether you avoid all error, but whether your intention is to lift the standard of whatever passes through your hands. The world already has enough men willing to produce good enough. You are deciding to belong to the smaller company of those who insist on as good as I can make it today. That difference, sustained, will set you apart more surely than loud ambition. To live this way, you must manage your attention. A scattered mind cannot give deep value. You cannot contribute fully to any task while standing half in it and half in some imaginary future. Train yourself to be where you are. When you are working, work. When you are listening, listen. When you are learning, learn. Do not constantly drag your mind back to your worries and desires. They will be waiting for you at the end of the day, no matter how often you visit them. Leave them alone long enough to pour yourself into the work in front of you. Ask, as you begin each task, what result am I truly aiming for? Do not move your hands until you can answer. A man who does not know his aim cannot hit it. If you are preparing a document, is your aim to finish it or to make a decision easier for someone else? If you are meeting with others, is your aim to pass the time or to reach an agreement, a plan, a clearer understanding? If you are repairing something, is your aim to keep it running for another week or to restore it properly so it will not trouble anyone again for a long while? When your aim is clear, your contribution becomes intelligent instead of mechanical. You must also build a habit of anticipating needs before they become crises. This is one of the marks of a truly valuable man. Most people move only when pushed. They wait until something breaks, until someone complains, until pressure is unbearable. Then they rush, act surprised, and call their panic hard work. The contributor observes quietly. He notices what is wearing thin, what is frequently delayed, where confusion keeps arising. He does not wait for catastrophe. He acts early. He reorganizes before things collapse. He explains before misunderstanding erupts. He prepares before the deadline. That is real service. Those who work with him may never fully see how much trouble he has prevented, but they will feel the ease and call it good fortune, smooth running, luck. It is not luck. It is contribution in advance. Understand this. Those who hold power are always, consciously or not, searching for such men. They may not always know how to reward them quickly, but they never forget them. When serious matters arise, new responsibilities, new projects, new leaders to be chosen, the thought comes, who can be trusted to carry this without constant supervision? If your name comes to mind because you have a history of seeing ahead and carrying your load, success has begun to find you. Another essential discipline is the way you handle inconvenience. Your true philosophy is revealed when life asks you for more than you had planned to give. Perhaps you are asked to stay later. Perhaps a problem appears just when you thought the day was ending. Perhaps someone's mistake creates extra work for you. Your first impulse may be anger. You will want to say, this is not my fault. This is not in my agreement. This is unfair. Pause. You are now standing at a crossroads. One path is the old way. Defend yourself, do the bare minimum, speak bitterly of how they use you, and go home exhausted and resentful. The other path is the way of contribution. You say to yourself, this is unpleasant, but it is an opportunity to show what I am made of. I cannot fix everything, but I will do what I reasonably can to prevent harm, to solve the problem, to keep the whole from breaking. Then you act, not with whining sacrifice, but with firm resolve. This does not mean letting everyone push you endlessly. You must know your limits and learn to say no when a request would truly damage your health or your other obligations. But your first question must not be, how do I protect my comfort? It must be, what is the right, responsible thing to do here, given who I want to become? Very often, the answer will involve short-term discomfort for long-term strength, yours and others. Now, consider your speech. Words are one of your primary tools of contribution. They can build trust or destroy it. They can clarify or confuse. They can strengthen the weary or drain them further. Until now, you have probably spent many careless words. You have repeated complaints, carried gossip, spoken harshly when patience was needed, remained silent when encouragement would have cost you nothing. This must change. Before you speak, train yourself to ask, will these words add or subtract? If they add, speak them clearly and directly. If they subtract, close your mouth. This alone will elevate your value. A man who does not waste words is rare. A man whose words consistently help people see more clearly, act more wisely, or feel less alone is precious. Your success in any field will depend greatly on how you use your tongue. Use it as an instrument of contribution, not as a weapon of self-defense or a toy for idle talk. Another pillar of contribution is reliability. People must know that when you say yes, it means something. A promise given lightly and broken easily erodes your value faster than poor skill. Skill can be improved. A reputation for unreliability is far harder to repair. From now on, do not give your word faster than you can keep it. When you commit, write it down. Treat it as a debt. Do not rest until it is paid. If you see that you cannot keep a promise, do not disappear in shame. That is cowardice. Go to the person concerned as early as possible. Admit the difficulty plainly. Offer what you can do instead, or accept the consequences. It is better to be known as a man who faces his failures than as one who hides from them. That courage is itself a contribution because it allows others to make plans based on truth instead of being surprised by your silence. Let us turn to another area where you can immediately lift your contribution, your capacity to learn. The world changes. Methods improve. Knowledge advances. If you cling to what you once learned and refuse to grow, your contribution will decay no matter how hard you work. You must see yourself as a permanent student. This does not require formal schooling. It requires curiosity and humility. Look around at the tools you use, the processes you follow, the systems you depend on. Ask yourself, do I really understand how this works? Could I improve it if asked? Could I teach it to someone else? If the answer is no, you have found an opening for growth. Seek instruction. Watch those who are more skilled. Read manuals others ignore. Practice after hours. If you do this month after month, your mind will fill with practical knowledge. People will begin to say, ask him. He understands how this works. That simple sentence marks the difference between being replaceable and being required. Do not limit your learning to technical matters. Study people. Watch how they respond under pressure, how they make decisions, where they stumble. Ask yourself, if I were responsible for leading this group, what would I do differently? How would I structure this work so that fewer mistakes occur? You may not have the authority to change things yet, but you can train your judgment long before authority arrives. Then when it does appear, you will already know how to wield it in service, not in confusion. Now consider your inner life. You cannot be a man of lasting contribution if your thoughts are undisciplined. Irritation, envy, self-pity, and fantasy drain the very energy you need for useful work. You must learn to watch your thoughts as a gatekeeper watches a city. When you catch yourself rehearsing grievances, stop and ask, does this thinking help me give more value, or is it only feeding my pride? When you find yourself daydreaming about sudden success without effort, ask, what can I improve right now instead of imagining tomorrow? This is not easy. Your mind is used to wandering wherever appetite leads it. But a mind that serves contribution must be tamed. You cannot always control the first appearance of a thought, but you can control whether it is allowed to stay. Push your mind gently but firmly back to your responsibilities. Think about how to improve a system, how to support someone, how to increase your skill. This does not mean never resting. It means choosing thoughts that build rather than those that corrode. A powerful practice is to end each day with 3 questions. First, where did I truly contribute today? Name it specifically. Do not be vague. Recognize the moments where you added real value. This builds your awareness that you are already capable of more than you once believed. The second, where did I withhold my best? Perhaps you rushed, cut corners, avoided a difficult conversation, or pretended not to see a need. Do not excuse yourself. Face it. Third, what will I do differently tomorrow in similar situations? Now you are turning regret into improvement. Write your answers. Do not trust them to memory. In a few weeks, you will see patterns. You will notice areas where your contribution is consistently strong and areas where you frequently fail. This is precious information. Most men drift through life never understanding themselves. They guess why success avoids them and blame everything except their own patterns. You will know precisely where to focus your effort. That knowledge alone makes you more powerful than the majority. You may ask, if I live this way, how long before success finds me? That is the old voice speaking again. Silence it. The proper question is, how far can I go in mastering contribution? The timings of life are not yours to control. Opportunities sometimes move slowly, sometimes suddenly. But you can control how ready you are when they appear. And readiness is nothing more than the union of developed skill, proven character, and the habit of service. Think of 2 men standing side by side when a large opening appears, perhaps a higher position, a business chance, a partnership. One has spent years thinking mainly of his comfort, doing just enough, defending his pride. The other has spent years refining his work, helping others, learning and steadying his mind. The same opportunity shines on both. Who does it truly belong to? The answer is obvious. The second man does not have to chase it. It fits him. It finds him. This is what you are training for. To become the man for whom good opportunities are a natural match. You do not need to be perfect. You do not need to be the most brilliant man in the room. You need to be the man whose pattern is to make things better, no matter where he is placed. When you become that man, success is no longer a miracle. It is a rightful inheritance. Even if it is delayed, it is not denied. Do not wait for enthusiasm to carry you. Enthusiasm is a visitor. It arrives with new ideas and fades when the work becomes ordinary. Contribution is not built on visitors. It is built on residents, discipline, responsibility, and purpose. You must continue when the excitement wears off. You must keep improving your work when no one is praising you. You must hold your standard when others have begun to slacken. That constancy is what convinces life that you are not merely playing at this law, you are living it. You will have days when you fail, when you slip back into old habits. Expect them. They are not the end unless you make them so. When you fall, do not waste time accusing yourself. That is vanity in disguise. Simply acknowledge, today I moved like the old man I once was. Tomorrow I will move like the man I intend to be. Then prove it. A single day of failure does not destroy a man of contribution. It educates him. As you deepen this way of living, you will notice a change in how you view other people's success. Instead of being consumed by envy, you will begin to ask, what are they giving that makes such results possible? You will look for causes instead of gnawing on effects. This shift alone can save you years of bitterness. You will see that behind every stable success lies a history of contribution, seen or unseen. Behind every collapse lies neglected responsibility. Let this understanding free you. You do not need to curse the man who has more than you. You need only study the ways he has become more valuable, and then, in your own field and manner, do likewise. Contribution is not a limited substance. One man's service does not reduce the amount available for you. In fact, being near such men will often increase your own urge to grow. Honor what is honorable in them, and let it stir your own determination, not your resentment. Finally, remember that contribution will outlast your life. The habits you build, the people you strengthen, the standards you set, the principles you model, all these will continue to work long after you have left the room, the role, or the world. That is why this law matters so much. To chase success as mere comfort or recognition is to live shallowly and die quickly, even if your body lives many years. To focus on contribution is to join yourself to something larger and more enduring than your own appetite. Every day from now on, you stand between two choices: to remain a seeker of success or to become a generator of value. The seeker wanders, knocks, begs, compares, and grows weary. The generator builds, serves, improves, and grows stronger. One is always at the mercy of others' decisions. The other, sooner or later, becomes the man whose presence influences those decisions. Choose your side with finality. Say to yourself, I am done chasing shadows. I will build substance. I will focus on contribution and let success find me in its own hour. Then live as if you believed it. Put your head down and work, not like a slave resenting his chains, but like a free man shaping his destiny, one useful act at a time. In due season, the world will notice. And even if it takes longer than you hoped, you will have this advantage immediately. From the first day you live by this law, you step out of the small prison of self-centered striving and into the wide, solid ground of purposeful living. That in itself is a kind of success no man can take from you. You understand now that contribution is not a trick for impressing others. It is the spine of a meaningful life. But there is another truth you must face. You cannot contribute powerfully while living in fragments. A scattered man produces scattered value. If your energy is divided into 10 half-hearted directions, you will never deliver the kind of impact that forces success to rearrange itself around you. So you must learn to organize your entire life around a main line of contribution. You have treated your days like a table cluttered with many small objects, tasks, obligations, distractions, all demanding attention, none receiving your best. When everything is important, nothing is. You say yes to too many things, then resent them for draining you. You live tired and confused, not because life is impossible, but because you have never decided what you are truly here to give. The world feels heavy on your shoulders because you are trying to carry what does not belong to you. You must ask the question that most men avoid. If I had to choose one kind of value to become exceptional at producing, what would it be? Not 10, not 5, one. One primary line of service that will become the backbone of your working life. This does not mean you will do only one thing forever. It means that everything you do will in some way feed and express this central strength. Perhaps your greatest value lies in organizing confusion into order. Perhaps it lies in teaching complex things simply. Perhaps in building systems, in leading men, in solving technical problems, in creating products, in selling ideas, in analyzing, in planning, in repairing, in negotiating. You may not see it clearly yet, but it is there. Look honestly at your history. When have you felt most alive in your work? When have others repeatedly turned to you and said, "You're good at this"? When have you finished a task and thought, "This is what I was meant to do"? Do not dismiss these moments as accidents. They are clues. Your contribution will be greatest where your natural inclinations, your developed skills, and the world's needs intersect. Your task is to find that intersection and then build a road there, stone by stone. That road is your chief line of contribution. Success will not rise for a man who is trying to stand on a cloud of vague desires. It rises for the man whose life is built like a solid bridge, leading from who he is to what others truly need. Once you have some sense, even if imperfect, of your main value, you must protect it fiercely. You cannot offer your best if you constantly trade hours of focused work for a handful of trivial duties that flatter your ego. Learn to say, "No, this does not fit my line of contribution," when you can. You may still have to perform many tasks outside your ideal field, especially in the beginning. That is not failure. But even in those tasks, arrange your time so that a portion of each day, however small, is devoted to deepening your main strength. That portion, guarded and expanded, will determine how far you go. You will meet resistance. People who have grown used to your scattered availability will resent your new focus. They will call you selfish for refusing to waste yourself as you used to. Smile inwardly. You are not withdrawing your contribution, you are sharpening it. The blunt knife can cut many things poorly. The sharp knife cuts one thing cleanly. The world does not need more dull knives. Order must also be brought to your surroundings. You cannot offer clarity while living in chaos. Look at the place where you work. Is it arranged for convenience or for contribution? Are your tools and materials scattered, forcing you to waste energy searching? Is your desk piled with decisions you have avoided? Is your environment full of noise and interruption that breaks your concentration every few minutes? This disorder is not innocent. It steals from your value. Spend time putting your space in order, not as a way to avoid work, but as a way to respect it. Decide where things belong and keep them there. Keep close at hand what you use daily. Put away what you rarely need. Remove what serves no purpose. The discipline of physical order reinforces the discipline of mental order. A man who commands his environment sends a message to himself. I am here to create, not to drift. That message will be reflected in the quality of your contribution. Now let us speak of companions. You cannot live a life of contribution while constantly soaking in the talk of men who worship ease and mock effort. Their words will seep into you, no matter how strong you believe you are. They will tell you that giving more than you are paid for is foolish, that caring about quality when no one is watching is naive, that striving to improve yourself is a waste when everything is corrupt anyway. If you listen long enough, your own resolve will rot. You must deliberately seek out a different kind of association. You need at least a few voices in your life that say, do your work well, stand by your word, grow your abilities, serve more than you are required. These people may not be glamorous. They may be quiet, steady, unspectacular, but if their lives bear the mark of contribution, family strengthened, work respected, character trusted, keep them close. Their presence will remind you that you are not crazy for living by this law in a world drunk on comfort. Where you cannot find such people in person, look for them in books, lectures, and biographies. Study the lives of men who built lasting enterprises, changed their industries, or left their communities stronger than they found them. Do not imitate their outward forms, their style, their manner, their peculiarities. Study the principles they lived by. You will find again and again that they thought in terms of contribution long before success arrived. They asked, How can I serve this need? And how can I do it better than it has been done? More than they asked, how quickly can I profit? As you build this circle of influence around yourself, you will notice your own standards rising. You will feel ashamed of certain habits you once defended. That shame is not an enemy, it is a signal that your sense of what is worthy has sharpened. Do not run from it. Let it push you upward. We must also address the matter of money. You have feared it, worshipped it, pursued it, and resented it. You have treated it as an end when it was always meant to be a reflection and a tool. The law is simple. In a reasonably just environment, money flows toward value. Not instantly, not perfectly, but persistently. If your contribution grows larger, clearer, and more essential, money will gradually align with it. If your contribution is small, erratic, or easily replaced, money will mirror that too. Do not be deceived by exceptions. Men who have gained wealth through deception, speculation without service, or inheritance. Their stories do not change the law. They only test their character. Without contribution, their wealth becomes a fire that eventually burns them or those around them. You are not to build on such ground. Your task is to so increase your usefulness that money becomes a natural recognition, not a desperate pursuit. This means thinking differently whenever money enters your hand. Ask, how can this help me increase my capacity to contribute? Perhaps it will be used to study, to buy tools, to buy time for focused work, to regain health, or to support others in their growth. You still may enjoy comforts, but comforts must not be the master. When money serves your contribution, it multiplies. When contribution is sacrificed for money, everything shrinks. Your soul first, your fortune later. You will also need to change how you respond to opportunities that promise quick gain without real value. You will be invited into schemes that boast large rewards with little effort, glory without discipline, inflow without outflow. Learn to turn away. Tell yourself, if my contribution does not grow here, this is not my path. This single standard will protect you from a host of traps. It may cost you some exciting stories to tell in idle conversation, but it will save you years of regret. There is another dimension of contribution you cannot ignore. How you handle power when it arrives. Up to now, you may have thought of power as something to escape from rather than to prepare for. But if you live faithfully by this law, authority of some kind will inevitably come to you. It may be the authority to direct others, to manage resources, to influence decisions. At that moment, your true philosophy will be tested. The selfish man uses power to lighten his own load and increase his own status, even if it means placing heavier burdens on others. He thinks contribution is finally paid off, and now he can relax into comfort while others do the hard work. His leadership becomes hollow and his influence brittle. He has forgotten that power is simply the enlargement of his circle of contribution. His task is not to escape service, but to serve at a higher level. He is now responsible not only for his own work, but for creating conditions in which others can contribute more effectively. If you remember this, you will treat power as a trust, not as a throne. You will ask, how can I arrange this team, this system, this budget, so that more value is created for those we serve? You will protect your people from unnecessary chaos. You will remove obstacles that prevent them from doing their best work. You will demand much, but you will also supply the tools and clarity needed to meet that demand. That is contribution in leadership. And leaders who operate this way are rare, treasured, and highly sought after. Do not imagine that you need a title to begin practicing this form of contribution. You can start where you are by quietly helping others succeed. Share knowledge instead of hoarding it. Offer guidance when someone struggles with a task you have mastered. Stand firm for fairness when you see someone being used unjustly. Model the standards you wish others would follow, instead of merely talking about them. This prepares you for the day when your influence widens. You must also learn to endure the loneliness that often accompanies a life of contribution. The man who resolves to work harder, think deeper, and give more than he is paid for will not always be understood. Some will suspect your motives. Others will ridicule your seriousness or accuse you of trying to make them look bad. You will feel the temptation to lower your standards to avoid standing out. Resist it. Tell yourself plainly, I am not living for their approval. I am living in obedience to a law that governs success whether they recognize it or not. You are not required to argue with them. Let your results speak. Let time show the difference between a life spent chasing comfort and one spent building value. You will find in the end that some of those who mocked you will seek your guidance. Their laughter was only a mask for their own insecurity. To support yourself in these lonely stretches, cultivate a private sense of honor. Learn to be pleased with yourself when you have met your own standard of contribution, even if no one else notices. Stand in your small room at the close of a hard day and say, today I did my duty as best I could. I made things better where I was able. I resisted the pull of laziness and resentment. Feel the quiet weight of that. That inner approval is the foundation of the confidence you seek from the world. Remember, too, that contribution is the cure for much of your own misery. When you sit alone, turning your problems over and over, in your mind they grow larger. When you get up and do something useful, however small, they shrink to their true size. This is not magic. It is the simple fact that your mind was made to create, to solve, to serve. When you deny it that work and feed it only on self-concern, it turns against you. Anxiety, despair, and jealousy thrive in idle soil. Purposeful work uproots them. So when you feel most trapped by your own troubles, do not retreat into further isolation. Move outward. Ask, what can I fix, mend, support, or improve today? It may be a broken hinge, a disordered space, a delayed task, a neglected letter, a discouraged person. Take it on. Do it well. You will discover that while you were busy contributing, your inner storm calmed. The circumstances may not have changed, but you changed in relation to them. You moved from helpless victim to active builder. Never forget this final truth. Contribution is not about becoming a martyr. It is about becoming effective. A martyr collapses under the weight of trying to satisfy everyone. A contributor chooses carefully where his efforts will do the most good, then gives himself fully there. Sometimes the right thing to do is to refuse a demand so that you can better meet a more important one. Sometimes the contribution needed is a firm no to a request that would drain your strength without producing real benefit. This requires judgment, and judgment grows through experience. You will make some errors, saying yes when you should have said no, or turning down a task that would have stretched you in a healthy way. Learn from both. Ask, did my choice increase or reduce my ability to add value where it truly matters? Adjust accordingly. Over time, your decisions will become sharper, your contribution more concentrated, and your energy better directed. Understand now how far you have come from the man who once only chased success. Then, your questions were, when will someone recognize me? When will money come? When will my big chance arrive? Now your questions are, how can I give more value today? How can I refine my main strength? How can I order my life so that my usefulness grows? Those are the questions of a different man. Their answers will shape a different fate. Hold this new identity firmly. See yourself as a source, not a beggar. A source of effort, of ideas, of steadiness, of growth. When you stand in a room, remind yourself silently, because I am here, something can be made better. Then prove it in action. One day, you will look back and realize that somewhere along this path, success, quietly, gradually, stopped running from you and began to walk at your side. By now, the excuse that life has not given me a chance has lost its power over you. You see clearly that the real question is no longer what chance you are given, but what contribution you have prepared yourself to make. This understanding must now be hammered into a conviction so strong that no setback, delay, or disappointment can shake it from your mind. Without that conviction, you will drift back to old thinking the moment pressure increases. With it, you will hold your direction, even when outward progress seems slow. Look honestly at the man you were before this law reached you. His thoughts moved in circles around himself. He wanted success, but he defined it as comfort, acclaim, and escape from pressure. He did not ask, "What can I give?" He asked, "When will I get mine?" Every hardship felt like an insult. Every delay felt like proof that fate was against him. He looked at those ahead and said, "They are lucky," never pausing to ask what they had built, endured, and refined in order to move ahead. That man had desire, but he did not have direction. The man you are becoming is different. He still feels the sting of hardship, but he does not let it decide his behavior. He has chosen a new center, contribution. He asks, "How can I earn the place I want by becoming more valuable to my time?" He understands that future rewards are being determined by present habits. He refuses to surrender to the cheap comfort of blaming others. He may still fall, but he falls forward toward more responsibility, not away from it. You must now root this identity in daily practice until it becomes natural. Think of a craftsman who has spent years training his hands. At first, every movement was forced and awkward. His tools slipped. His measures were imprecise. He doubted himself, but he continued, stroke after stroke, correction after correction. One day he picks up the tools and discovers they obey his intention without strain. The movements that once demanded thought now flow like water. What has happened? His nervous system has been educated by repetition. You are training something even deeper, your character. Every time you choose to contribute more than is demanded, you are carving a new groove in your nature. Every time you hold your tongue when complaint would be easy and instead offer a solution, you deepen that groove. Every time you study when you could idle, help when you could hide, refine when you could rush, the groove grows. Eventually, you will discover that you no longer have to fight with yourself as fiercely as before. Contribution has become your default. It feels unnatural to be careless, dishonest, or selfish. That is the day when success begins to feel natural. Others will say, "He is fortunate. Things always seem to work out for him." They will not see the hidden grooves you carved, the nights you spent examining your failures instead of excusing them, the quiet hours of study, the small acts of service no one recorded. But life has recorded them. They are written into your very being, and life answers in kind. Do not mistake this for some mystical arrangement that spares you from all difficulty. Even as a man of contribution, you will face losses, misunderstandings, unjust criticism, and seasons where your work seems to vanish into silence. The difference is that these events no longer define you. They become part of the material you work with. When a door closes unjustly, you ask, "Where else can I bring my value?" When a plan fails, you ask, "What did this teach me about how to serve more wisely?" When someone slanders you, you ask, "Does my conduct contradict their words?" If not, I must correct myself. If so, time will correct them. This calm strength is itself a contribution. In a world of men tossed about by every change of circumstance, your steadiness becomes a shelter. Others feel it. They relax in your presence. They trust your judgment, not because you are always right, but because you are always sincere in your effort to do right. This trust is one of the highest forms of success. It cannot be bought. It cannot be demanded. It must be earned, act by act, over many years. Remember also that contribution must include yourself, not in the sense of pampering your whims, but in the sense of developing your potential. You are not a machine whose only purpose is to grind until it breaks. You are a mind, a will, a spirit. If you neglect your own development, your contribution will eventually weaken. Make time to read, to reflect, to study your craft and your own behavior. This is not selfishness, it is maintenance. A dull axe cannot build many houses. Sharpening the axe is part of the work, so keep a portion of your time each week for deliberate improvement. Review your journal of where you contributed and where you withheld. Choose a single area for focused change. Perhaps it is punctuality, perhaps clarity of speech, perhaps patience under pressure, perhaps technical skill. Do not attempt to repair everything at once. Concentrated effort in one place often lifts several others. The man who improves the way he listens finds that his relationships, his learning, and his leadership all improve. As you grow, your view of success itself will mature. You will see that while money and recognition have their place, they are poor masters. The deeper reward is the quiet knowledge that you are giving your best to the life you have been given. You are not hiding. You are not shrinking. You are not allowing fear or laziness to dictate your days. You are becoming, each year, more equal to your responsibilities. When you stand at the end of a long project and see that it stands firm because you did your part with integrity, you will feel a satisfaction no applause can equal. When you watch someone you have trained perform confidently because you took the time to teach, you will feel a pride no paycheck can replace. When you learn that a decision you made in obedience to principle protected others from harm, you will feel a gratitude that no outward honor can match. These are the inner wages of contribution. They accumulate in the treasury of your character. You may still long for certain outward forms of success, a better home, a wider influence, a higher position. There is nothing wrong in that. But you will no longer be willing to buy them at the price of your self-respect. You will say, if these things are to be mine, they must come as a result of increasing my value, not by betraying it. That decision alone will keep your soul intact when temptations come. Now, make this law personal. Do not leave it floating in the air. Say it to yourself, quietly but firmly. I will no longer spend my life chasing success as if it were a runaway carriage. I will build myself into a man of such clear, steady contribution that success must, in time, adjust its course to meet me. I will focus on what I can give, not as a temporary strategy, but as the permanent definition of who I am. Write it if you must. Place it where your eyes will fall on it in the morning. Let it confront you when you are tempted to slip back into old habits. When you catch yourself thinking, what am I getting from this? Answer with, what am I bringing to this? When you feel overlooked, ask, is my contribution truly undeniable yet, or do I still have room to grow? Replace complaint with this question until it becomes automatic. Understand how rare such a man is. Most will not do this work. They will complain louder, chase harder, envy more deeply, and grow more tired. They will change jobs, cities, and companions, taking their old philosophy with them like an invisible chain. Do not follow them. You are choosing another way. You are choosing to be the man success finds, not the man who wears his legs out chasing it. And when, in time, doors begin to open, do not be surprised. Do not call it luck. Recognize it as the natural harvest of the seeds you have been sowing day after day. Walk through those doors with humility, remembering the years when no doors opened. Bring the same spirit of contribution into every new level. Say, I did not arrive here to rest. I arrived here to serve at a higher level. Then set yourself to work. If you live this way, there will come a day when you look around and realize that you have indeed become successful by any ordinary measure. But you will find that the word has lost much of its old meaning. You will see success not as a trophy, but as a responsibility. You will hold it lightly, use it wisely, and never let it stop you from doing the thing that created it, adding real value wherever you stand. On that day, you will not need anyone to tell you that this law was true. You will feel it in the weight of your own presence, in the steadiness of your own mind, in the trust reflected in the eyes of those around you. You will know without boasting that you have become the kind of man you once admired from a distance. The man whose very life says he focused on contribution and success could not help but find him.